Given question, find the forces in all the members of truss as shown in the diagram.
Let us understand given question with the help of diagram. This is the question of members connected with the help of joints, or we can say pin connected in a single plane known as plane frame or truss. We are going to solve this question by method of joint. We have to first understand each joint is connected with how many members. Now if we observe this diagram, at joint A, it is connected to the member AB. That means at joint A there is only one member AB. Then at joint E there are two members EB as well as ED. But these 2 points A and E are having fixed surface. So there is the reaction which is perpendicular to the surface. So these reactions are also unknown. So if we select the joint A as well as joint E, then we have to first find out the reaction at point A as well as reaction at point E. Now we will move to the next joint, joint B. At B there are 1, 2, 3 and 4 members. So these members are AB, BE, BD and BC. Now we will move to the joint D. At joint D there are 3 members connected, ED, DC and DB. Now we will move to the next joint, joint C. Joint C is connected with 2 members BC and DC. Now at point C there is force in vertically downward direction, and this force is given is known because that value is mentioned in the question 39.9 Newton. In the same way at point D the force mentioned 39.9 Newton in vertically downward direction is also known. So we have to just find out the unknown forces in the members, and question is we have to find out unknown forces in the members. Now to solve this question by method of joint, we will follow some basic rules. So we have to first find out the components of inclined forces. Now if we observe the member BC as well as member EB, then these are inclined members. So we have to resolve the forces within these members into vertical component and horizontal component. So for that we have to first find out the angle made by this EB as well as BC with the horizontal line. So I will take or consider here the angle is theta. Now how to find out this angle theta? So if I consider the triangle EDB, then tan theta is equal to BD by ED, and this is equal to 3 and 3 because AE is equal to BD. In the same way in triangle BDC, tan theta is equal to BD by DC, and that is also equal to 3 by 3. So tan theta is equal to 1 and theta is equal to 45 degree. So this angle is equal to 45 degree. Now which are the basic rules we have to understand? So first we have to decide the sign convention for particular direction. So when the direction is towards right hand side for the horizontal force, or in upward side for the vertical force, then we have to consider positive sign. And when we calculate the answer, that is the force, unknown force in any member, and that answer is positive, then the nature of force in that member is tension, and we have to mention in the answer. And how to show this direction? So suppose this is the joint and this is the member, then we have to show arrow away from this joint when answer is positive and nature is tension. In the same way, we have to consider the direction in the forces towards left hand side for horizontal forces and in the downward direction for vertical forces, then we have to consider negative sign. And suppose we calculate the summation of all these forces and answer is negative, then the nature of that force is compression force. And we have to mention for negative magnitude compression in the answer. And how to show in the diagram direction for that member. Suppose this is the joint, that is I have shown with the help of dot, and this is the member with line. Then we have to show arrow towards the joint. So this is important table, you have to note down. Now we have to select the joint. So how to select the first joint? We have to select the joint in such a way that the two members with unknown forces. Now we know each and every joint how it is connected. Now if we observe, here is joint E and here is joint C. Both are with two members with unknown forces. But what about E? It is connected to the fixed surface, and here is the reaction which is perpendicular to the surface and it is unknown. So we will skip this because we are not going to find out this unknown reaction at point E. Because we have other option, joint C. Now for joint C there are two members, CB as well as CD. And the third force is known force. So we can select the joint C. So we will draw the free body diagram. Now here I will give you one hint. Now these forces CD and CB are not known. So direction is also not known. So we will show the direction away from this joint. I will show here, this is C to B. And I will show the direction away from the joint C. In the same way, from C to D, I will show direction away from the joint C. And here 39.9 Newton is the known and direction is given, we have to mention as it is. But for forces with unknown members, we have to follow the same rule. We have to always show direction away from the joint. Now if we observe, CB is the inclined force. So I will resolve this into two components. One is vertical component and other is horizontal component. Now how to find out this? So we know that the angle made by CB with horizontal is equal to theta, that is equal to 45 degree. So how we will show this? That is CB cos of 45. CB cos of 45, and for vertical CB sin of 45. Now we will consider the equilibrium for this joint C. So we will apply the rule, summation of all vertical forces is equal to 0, summation of all horizontal forces is equal to 0. Now vertical force, this C from C 39.9 is known. So we will take summation of all vertical forces is equal to 0. So from this diagram, FCB sin of 45 minus 39.9 is equal to 0. Now it is having upward direction, so for the upward direction use positive sign. It is downward direction, so use negative sign. Now when we solve this, then we will get FCB is equal to 56.6 Newton. Now this is positive. So for positive answer, nature is tension. So we have to mention here tension T in the bracket. So here this force we will say FCB and here also FCB. Then we will move next, summation of all horizontal forces is equal to 0. So here are two horizontal forces. In this member force is FCD. The direction is towards left hand side. So for left hand side use negative sign, and here FCB cos 45 direction is towards left hand side. So minus FCD minus FCB cos 45 is equal to 0. And when we solve this, we will get FCD is equal to minus 40 Newton. So here is negative sign, and for this negative sign, how we can decide the nature? Nature is compression, so we have to take positive magnitude 40 Newton and in bracket write compression. Now we will also show the direction. Now for tension, we have to show arrow away from joint. So here is CB. So if we observe from point C here towards B, so I will show arrow away from joint for FCB. Now FCD. For FCD, here is C to D. Now from joint C, because we have selected here C, we have to show arrow towards the joint because compression is there. So I will show here. Now we will move to the next joint. So how to select the next joint? If we observe the joint C, then there are three members in which one member is known. That is, for member CD, we know the magnitude. So there are only two members remaining with unknown forces. So we will select the next joint D. Now for this joint D, one known force in downward direction we have to show as it is 39.9 Newton. Now we will show the direction of forces in other three members in outward direction. So I will show here. Now we will consider the equilibrium of this diagram, and we will take summation of all horizontal forces is equal to 0 and all vertical forces is equal to 0. So when we take summation of all vertical forces is equal to 0, then here this member is having force FDB. This member is having force FDC, and this member is having force FDE. So from the diagram, if we observe, here is the upward direction, and for the upward direction we will use positive sign, and here is the downward direction we will use negative sign. So FDB minus 39.9 is equal to 0. So FDB is equal to plus 40 Newton. So here is positive sign, and for positive sign nature is tension. So we will write here as a tension. Now we will move to the next summation of all horizontal forces is equal to 0. So here FDC, so direction is towards right hand side, so take positive sign, and FDE, direction is towards left hand side, so use negative sign. Minus FDE plus FDC is equal to 0. Now we have calculated FDC. So FDC is having negative magnitude. So we have to take as it is. So we have to take minus 40, and which is equal to 0. So when we solve this, then we will get FDE is equal to minus 40 Newton. So how we can write this in other way, which is equal to plus 40 Newton, and nature is compression. Now we have to complete this diagram. Now FDB. So D to B member is here. Nature is tension, and for tension we have to show arrow away from joint. So here is the joint D. So we will show arrow away from joint. And now FDE. So FD to E is member here, and nature is compression, and for compression nature we have to show arrow towards the joint. So here is the joint D, and we will show arrow towards the joint. Now we will move to the joint B. We have to find out unknown forces in the members AB as well as BE. Now we will show the direction of all the forces in the outward direction. So for this horizontal line, we will show this force, and this force is FBA. Now next point is E, and unknown force FBE. Then next is FBD, and next is FBC. Now if we observe, FBC and FBE are two inclined forces. So we will resolve into two components, horizontal component and vertical component. Now how to decide its a value? Now this FBC is making an angle theta with horizontal line. So here is the horizontal component. So here is angle 45 degree. And BE is also making an angle theta, that is 45 degree with horizontal line. So here is angle 45 degree. So we can say that here FBC cos of 45 and here FBC sin of 45. In the same way FBE sin of 45 and FBE cos of 45. Now we will take the equilibrium at this joint B. Now if we observe the diagram, we will take summation of all vertical forces is equal to 0. Now if we observe vertical forces are these three forces and these three are in the downward direction. So for downward direction we have to use negative sign. So FB is sin of 45, we will take this minus sign, then FBD and FBC sin of 45. Now when we solve this, we know the FBD as well as FBC. Now FBC, that means FCB, and here it is having tension, and then next one is FBD, that means FDB we have calculated, and from this arrow we can say that it is also having tension. Now these two forces are tension, that means positive magnitude as we have calculated earlier. So we have to use here the positive magnitude that we have calculated. So we will take here minus FBE sin 45 minus 40 minus 56.5 sin 45 is equal to 0. Therefore FBE is equal to minus 113 Newton. Now how we can write this? We can write here 113 Newton and here is compression. Now we will take summation of all horizontal forces is equal to 0. So from the diagram, these are the forces, direction is towards left hand side. So we have to use negative sign. So minus FBA minus FBE cos of 45. Then here plus FBC cos of 45 is equal to 0. Now we know that these forces FBC as well as BC is calculated. So from arrow we can say it is tension, that means we have to use that positive value, and then next one this BE. So BE is having compression, so we have to use here negative value. So I will rewrite this to avoid confusion. So I will write here therefore minus FBA, that we have to calculate, then minus as it is, and for FBE we will use negative sign, minus 113 cos of 45, and then FBC. So for FBC we have calculated 56.5, that is tension, that means positive value. So plus 56.5 cos of 45 is equal to 0. Now when we solve this, then we will get FBA is equal to 120 Newton. Now it is having with positive sign, so we will write here as a tension. Now we will show the arrow. So for this member AB, we have calculated with magnitude 120 and nature is tension. So for tension, we have to show arrow away from the joint. So I will show here. This is away from the joint B. Now in the same way for BE, we have calculated magnitude 113 and nature is compression. So for the compression, we have to show the direction towards the joint. So I will show here. Now last step is to prepare one table, and this table is for member, then for each member magnitude of the force, and then its a nature. So whenever the answer is negative, we have to show with positive magnitude, but nature should be compression. So A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, B, E and B, D. So this is the magnitude and this is the nature. And in the same way, we have to complete the arrow diagram. So how to complete this? Now remember, for each and every member, the direction of the arrow should be opposite and magnitude is equal. Now if we consider member AB, then for this joint B, the direction is shown away from the joint. Now from the joint A, we will show the arrow in the opposite direction. That is also for this nature tension, we have to show arrow away from this joint. So here is the joint A and nature is away from the joint. So these are opposite in direction but equal in magnitude. In the same way for BE, so BE is having compression nature, and for compression we have to show arrow towards the joint. So at the joint E, we have to show direction of arrow towards the joint. So here also if we observe, direction is opposite. So we will complete for each member. So for member ED, we will show here. So for member DC, we will show arrow in opposite direction, and for member BC, we have to show arrow. So this table and this diagram is the final answer.